welcome to Life in the Feed, a podcast for creatives who make content for the internet. I'm Camille, the creative director for Trope Connect, the marketing agency for the Salt Lake Tribune. This is Sam, our graphic designer, Katie, our digital marketing manager, and we have on our podcast today Rat Tattoo.
Yeah.
Welcome. Yeah.
AKA Rat Barse.
We're excited.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Yeah, welcome.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
Very
absolutely.
happy to have you. So we start off our podcast with something that we found interesting in our feed this week.
Okay.
So, Sam, do you want to go first?
Yeah, for sure. Did anybody watch the anime Astro Boy? Or it's a cartoon, but it's kind of based on an anime growing up.
I know of it, but
Know
I've
of
never,
it?
Same,
never
yeah.
watched
Yeah, I only watched it like very briefly on Saturday morning cartoons and whatnot. But Mischief Studios out of Brooklyn, New York is making like a big red boot, and it looks exactly like the shoes that Astro Boy's wearing.
They're very cartoony.
They're super cartoony.
Really? Wow, these do look...
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Wait,
Yeah,
like
they're great.
People are supposed to
Wow.
wear those?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
if you scroll down,
How?
there's people wearing. There's like an example of somebody wearing them.
See.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So they're pretty outrageous, right?
They literally look like they were drawn on their feet.
Yeah. I
looks
saw
like
today
Play-Doh.
on Twitter.
Yeah,
so
like clay
this
or
is the
something.
most reliable source for the price point, but $350 for these.
What?
Oof.
Yo,
Oh
I'll
my
get some
God.
silicone and make some for you.
Yeah, right. Can someone 3D print these?
I was gonna say, I wonder if it's silicone or if it's more like a slipper material on the
I
inside.
feel like it's
an UGG.
silicone.
It
It looks
loo-
like silicone to
It
me.
looks like silicone
Yeah.
to me.
It looks like I don't know.
It looks like Astro
Looks like
Wellies.
duck boots, or like cartoon duck boots. I think these are great though. I think these kind of push the boundaries of like footwear design. Like these aren't a pair of like boots that I'm gonna like buy and just wear out. I just think they're cool because they kind of like force us to take a step back and ask ourselves like, what do we like about sneakers and
I
what
like
do we
that.
like about footwear?
Yeah.
Step back. I like
Yeah.
that. Like 'cause shoes.
Pun intended.
Yeah.
Right. How do you get these on? Like, I'm just wondering, is there a zipper or something?
I
Because
imagine
like,
it's like, you know, like the cartoon where they like pull back their skin, you know, like a skeleton, and that's how they slip them on.
That's
if you don't
probably it,
know,
yeah.
Mischief does like collaborations and like controversial shoes like this all the time. They did these Wavy Babies shoes, which are like Vans ripoffs, as you can see. They did those in collaboration with Tyga. They did a Gobstopper shoe with Jimmy Fallon. And yeah, so these shoes are like kind of designed to be like destroyed,
Oh,
and it
I've
kind of is
seen
like
these
very
ones,
yeah.
antithetical to like sneakerhead culture, because like everything about sneakers this day and age is like keep them pristine
Don't
and like
crease.
you can
Yeah.
don't crease, don't wear them at all, so you can like increase the resale value, right? Because they're
Mm-hmm.
huge resale market for sneakers now.
I feel like sneakers
But these are like the opposite of that because they're like unique and individual, and they're designed to be worn down.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Didn't they find out like the glue and stuff like that on Nikes like deteriorates, or any shoe really, honestly, not to point out Nike specifically,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
any shoe like deteriorates. So
Yeah,
like,
after
keeping them-
time.
yeah.
After time, your shoes will crumble if you wear them or not.
Yeah.
It's like shoes are like an investment vehicle, like watches are now,
Yeah.
but shoes aren't meant to last as long as watches. I don't think. You know
Oh,
what I
definitely
mean?
not.
Or like when they're not touched, just on a shelf, they'll dry up or something. I assume.
Yeah, it's really
Especially these.
fascinating. It's really fascinating culture to me. Just like the resale value and like what we like, how we like it's a market, right? Like StockX advertises themselves as like a stock exchange for shoes. It's just a really, I don't know if it's like a bad way to look at it, but I don't know, something to think about for sure. Mischief Studios also did the Little Nas X Satan shoe.
Oh, the
Where
blood
they-
one.
yeah, they put blood
oh, I
in the
remember
heel.
This.
So this shoe is called the
sorry.
Tap 3. And it's basically a nod to that shoe, the other shoe, because they got sued by Nike for putting the human blood in it. Nike said it's illegal, put all this patents on it,
Ruh-roh.
because it was basically
sounds
a
horrible.
re-release of a Nike product. So you can't really do that, but Mischief kind of knew it, and it was kind of all in there. But these are basically like Air Force Ones or off-brand, but they're covered in like red tape, if you will. So it's a visual metaphor for you. I just think Mischief does a lot of really cool footwear design, and wanted to highlight that today.
Yeah,
Oh, that's cool.
I like it.
Interesting. Some people do stocks. Some people do Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Other people do shoes.
I do shoes.
I got a pair of shoes that are like Nike kind of esque that I've worn once. They're based off an anime.
Oh, nice.
The Demon Slayer anime.
I
and
love
they're
Demon
really
Slayer.
cool. But they're also supposed to be taken apart. Like the toe part of it, you're supposed to rip out, and it's got fire on one side and water on the other.
cool.
They're pretty
That's
cool.
awesome.
But I haven't done it yet because I'm nervous about ripping up my shoes.
That's fair.
Understandable.
So.
Yeah, perfect. Katie, what's on your feed?
Okay, so I don't know if you guys know, but Netflix was going to attempt to launch basically more anti-password sharing measures. So basically what they were going to announce this as is you would have to set up a primary address, I assume basically like set on your Wi-Fi, and every 30 days if you are not connected to that primary address while watching Netflix, you'll lose access to your account. So basically meaning that only people that live at that primary address can watch Netflix. Otherwise, you have to buy a new account for yourself. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And doing this, Netflix would kick off roughly around 100 million users by doing this decision.
Mm-hmm.
And the online complaints were huge, just like how you guys were like, what, like that sounds like that sucks.
Mm-hmm.
That's how the whole internet's reaction was to it. As Sam calls it, Twitter went into corporate bullying strategies.
Yeah. I saw a lot of people DMing the Netflix account on Twitter. I thought they actually rolled it back. Like they took it off their website.
So basically, the end of this is they rolled it back and said, "Actually, sorry, like that was just a glitch. Like that shouldn't have been announced. Like sorry about that, guys. Like oopsies, that's not real." Basically, just completely rolling back on that. However, though, they are still like last year they made an announcement that password sharing was going to be like a really big concern of theirs this year. So they are still doing some sort of measures like that in Latin America countries. So they are still starting to roll out some sort of like anti-password measures, but like
just not in the U.S.
Not in the U.S. and not to this degree that would literally like Netflix just doesn't have like the catalog anymore or anything like that. There's so many other subscription services like to compete with, and they want to charge I think like $16 for like the cheapest account with like no ads on it or something. Like you still have to pay like if you want to pay like $8 a month, you'll still get ads on your Netflix or something like that. Like it's getting really pricey for Netflix when you could just get Hulu for what $7.99 a month or whatever.
Or
still
included
get-
in your phone
yeah.
bill. Like
Yeah.
there's so
Or
many
like,
things
Yeah,
like
true,
that.
true.
Bundled with
true.
Spotify. That's what I've got.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah, the
Disney
bundle.
Plus or whatever.
Yeah. There's so many tie-ins like that, and they're not even the top dog anymore. Like
No,
like
not
last
at
year,
all.
HBO got the highest rating or something
Yeah.
like that. So
Yeah.
like it's, and you know then they trash their own system, but that's
Yep.
besides the point.
But their originals just don't hold up compared to some of the other ones. Like,
No.
for example, HBO's originals are, like, outstanding.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
all movie quality. Really, really good. Like, movie quality, I mean, like, blockbuster.
Yep.
Yeah.
quality.
HBO
Yeah.
puts the high production value.
Yeah.
Well, they've been known for that,
Yeah.
right? Like since like Sopranos back in the day and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So
Yeah. Shout out The Last of Us.
Yes.
Amazing series so far.
I just watched the
Crazy.
first 2 episodes last night.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm all the way caught up.
No
It's
spoilers, no
amazing.
spoilers.
No spoilers.
No spoilers. No spoilers.
No
Although if
spoilers.
you played the game, the whole thing's spoiled.
Yeah.
So.
Dang. Yeah, that was interesting. I even saw TikToks about it that were like, oh, what happens if we accidentally use a VPN? And like basically
yeah.
just people would
Yeah.
find a way around that. So
I
Nip-
think it was, like, going to be a thing, like, if you were for 7 days, if you weren't connecting to it or something, like it would log you out. So people are like, well, what if I'm on vacation for 9 days and I want to use Netflix?
Yeah.
At the last 2 days, for some reason, you're then locked out of your own account because you're not at home.
Yeah.
Like,
that would suck.
Just
yeah.
all these little stipulations they found that are just like, Netflix, this doesn't make sense. And Netflix was like, oops, sorry, like, I know it doesn't make
JK.
sense. That's because it wasn't real.
I saw a lot of people-
Early
It was
April
fake.
Fools.
I saw a lot of people making jokes about a lot of kids are gonna learn what torrenting is and
Exactly.
Dude,
Netflix is
yes.
over party and
LimeWire
stuff
comes
like that.
back.
Oh my God.
Yes, I did
Let's take
see.
it back to Napster, folks.
Yeah, I did see some LimeWire jokes on the timeline too.
Jeez.
So that was on my feed.
That's cool.
Cool.
So on my feed, I have one that is single women own more houses than single men in the U.S., which is kind of surprising because men make more money than women it's about like 83 cents to the dollar for men. So that surprised me. So of that, it's 10.76 million own and occupy their homes for single women, and then 8.2 million for men. So kind of interesting.
Let's go, ladies.
When you say home, does this mean like a single family home, or are we also including like condos and stuff?
It includes condos and everything.
Okay,
so
so I was like thinking, I feel like maybe men just have more bachelor pads in apartments, but if this includes condos, then never mind.
Right, yeah. That, or are the men married that have homes? Like,
or maybe they're just more rental people,
Or men
Maybe.
Or men have bad credits. And
Yeah.
need to
Oh
live
yeah,
in
maybe
houses.
it has come down to do with credit.
Looking at you, men.
they're buying these shoes and thinking that they're going to be rich one day.
I mean,
Those
Oh, whoa,
sneakerheads.
whoa! Why did I catch a stray?
I mean, if we're talking about people of my generation, I mean, we do spend a lot of money on, Legos and things like that. Well, speaking for myself, maybe.
yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
But
not
it's
the
an
only
investment.
One. Yeah.
It's about your quality of life.
Oh,
so
yeah, absolutely. I'd rather have my Legos than a house that I can't afford. So,
Exactly. It's really fun when the AC just breaks and
Yeah.
then they're like,
yeah, exactly.
it's this many
exactly.
$1,000. Do
Yep.
you have it? No.
Yeah, I don't think
But
I'm
I
quite.
have my Legos.
I have my
Yeah,
Legos.
yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. What was in your feed this
build
week?
a house out of Legos.
Really?
Actually, mine would be the DC announcement, James Gunn announcement
Yeah.
about the new DC movie lineup. Like, that really excites me. I'm a huge nerd. If you can't tell by my tattoos and just in general, if you check out my Instagram, which we'll talk about later.
Yeah.
I'm a huge nerd. So, and my father's name is Bruce Wayne, so I'm a huge Batman fan since birth. So, hearing about all the new stuff that they got coming up, specifically the Batman Brave and the Bold, really got me excited. Bringing the Bat family in, I've been raving about that happening since they started making movies when I was a kid. So finally see them
Long time
talking
coming.
about it. Yeah, seriously. And being the son of Batman, getting excited about the fact that they bring the son of Batman in makes me pretty excited. So
How do you
Batboy.
feel about them being like, there's going to be like two different actors playing Batman at the same time? Because there's going to be
Yeah.
the Pattinson movies, and then there's going to be the James World like mainline story with the Brave and the Bold. Then it's not going to be the same story.
I think the big part of that confuses the typical, like, just people that aren't big into comic books,
Yeah.
because the fact that they're not used to multiple
Yeah.
storylines going on
At the same time, yeah.
But as a comic book fan, like, growing up around it, that's normal.
Yeah,
like,
it's super normal.
Because some of the best Batman stories have nothing to do with the main timeline.
Yeah.
And so, honestly, to me, it's not that big of a deal. It's just, this is a different story in a different universe or
Yeah.
multiverse, and especially multiverses shouldn't be that strange of a thing for people now that Marvel's made it such a
Yeah.
usual thing. So it's one of those things that I think if they tried to do this 10, 15, 20 years ago, that might confuse people. But now that comic books have kind of had a resurgence,
Yeah.
and that the multiverse has been experienced in multiple different directions, and in movies like Everything Everywhere All at Once,
Yeah.
that deal so
Amazing
much
movie.
with phenomenal. It deals with all this idea of multiverse. I feel like it's kind of become a standard now, and it's not as confusing, maybe.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm wrong, but for me,
I think
I'm like,
people
whatever.
definitely grasp that concept better,
Yeah.
for sure.
So
Definitely.
I'm here
We'll
for
see.
it. I'm excited. So, and I think Pattinson did a great job. I'm
Yeah.
glad that they're not trying to mix him in with the whole overlying story.
Yeah, I don't think his character would line up super well with like the DCEU's like tone and direction.
I was gonna say, well, I feel like his Batman is definitely like a moodier, darker Batman,
and it's
compared
super
to,
realistic,
like,
too.
an actiony, more style Batman, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
No, for sure,
Yeah,
for sure.
like
And-
aliens aren't going to show up in Robert Pattinson's universe.
no,
No.
Could you imagine?
no,
It would be funny
Weird.
though.
That would I'd be interested to see how Reeves makes that work. But
Yeah.
no, I'm excited because he even talks about wanting to do like Mr. Freeze and things like that.
Yeah.
And the idea of doing that realistic is confusing,
It's a
but
little
also
out there.
exciting for me.
Yeah.
So
That's awesome.
yeah.
Sweet. Thank you for sharing. We
Yeah,
all
absolutely.
had quite a range of stories in our feeds this week.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm surprised nobody mentioned the Chinese balloon.
I had
debated
a
it.
couple.
We-
I had a
we
couple
thought about it.
points. I had a couple memes to share, but I was like,
It's been kicked around
It's
by
come and
everybody.
gone.
Yeah.
Plus, this will
Yeah.
come
It's
out
gone
like
just
a
like it
week after
popped.
we're recording, so
Nah,
it's
fair.
like
My brother-in-law
Yeah.
saw him shoot it down, actually.
Really?
Oh, that's awesome.
That's pretty
crazy.
cool.
Yeah, it was in Myrtle Beach. So,
I was watching the
Yes.
videos of that too.
That's great. So, Rat,
Yes.
Let's talk about your background.
Oh, man.
So when I met you, you were a graphic designer for an agency, but you also were working on your apprenticeship
Correct.
after moving out here from
South
Carolina.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I actually tried to be a tattoo artist 20 years ago. And tattooing has changed quite a bit since then, which is, I think, for the better. Some people might argue differently, but I think it's becoming more of a something that's people can get into. Maybe not easier. It's still hard. It still takes a lot of hard work. But a lot of the stigma and at the time that I was trying to get into it, there was a lot of overtly use of drug uses and things like that. And I got out of it back then and followed a different career for a little while, and then wanted to get into art. So I went back to school for graphic design.
Yeah.
So I got my degree well, I went back to school at 26, 27, got my degree at around 30, 31 in graphic design at the Art Institute of Charleston, which is no longer
that's sick.
RIP. The Institute of Charleston.
Important now.
But I went there, got my degree. I worked for I worked some freelance stuff right out of school, and then I worked for a large agency in the Southeast. Doing graphic design work, mostly studio work. I did a little bit of social stuff here and there for different brands like Denny's and things like that. And then I was working with them still, packaging for Verizon, things like that. And when I came out here, I met my mentor because, as you all know, graphic design is going by the way of web. And I was very much tangible graphic design.
Yeah, print.
And so, like I said, packaging. I was excited about that stuff. And even though that's not...
Packaging's awesome.
I love
Product
it.
design and all that stuff is so cool.
And I still love all that. But I found more and more they were wanting me to do more web stuff. And I had a serious conversation with my partner at the time about like future stuff and what my plans were for my future. And she's like, why don't you look back into tattooing? And so funny thing, about a month later, my company was doing layoffs. I didn't get cut, but I was talking to a friend about, what the fact that I was worried about my job because I didn't like doing web work and then stuff like that. And she told me about my mentor and got me connected with him. And he was moving out to Salt Lake City. So I didn't know that at the time. And then I got to know him and convinced him to let me work for him. But he's like, okay, but now you're going to have to come out to Salt Lake City. So
No big deal.
no big deal.
oh,
Sorry,
yeah.
cross
Our
country.
shop's moving.
Yeah. He was opening up shop. He didn't even have a shop at the time.
Oh,
And he
wow.
was opening up his first shop out here for lots of circumstances we won't get into. So I was like, you know what? Sure, we'll come out to visit, see if we like the city. Me and my partner came out. We enjoyed the city a lot.
Yeah.
And we came out one more time and looked for homes. And less than a year after the guy tattooed me for the first time, I moved across the country following him to learn how to tattoo. So
It's crazy how close you
yeah.
can get with your artist so fast.
yeah,
Right.
it was one full day of him tattooing me, and then so that was June 1st of 2016, and May 1st of 2017, I moved across the country. to
Wow.
become a
I
tattoo
love it.
artist. So it's been
That's
a life.
awesome.
It's been a lifelike dream. Like I said, 20 years in the making, and then I got to do it. And at that time, I guess it was more like 14, 15 years in the making.
Yeah.
So in 2017, I came out here, started to learn the ropes of what I needed to learn how to do tattooing bananas. And then August 12th of 2017, I did my first tattoo on myself. Which is actually should have posted that up as my thing in the feed. Is a lot of tattoo artists right now are doing these then and now sort of things, and
The first versus the current.
Yeah, so if you check out my Instagram, it's not posted yet, but later on today I'm gonna do the then, and it'll be the first tattoo I did, and then now, and I'll post probably this one up next to it as the one that's from now. So
Nice.
Oh, that'll be a big.
This is a good choice.
yeah. So this is it shows my nerd pride. Pretty proud here. This is one of many traditional tattoo inspired pieces that I've been doing lately. This one specifically is Orko from He-Man with guest star of Skeletor's skull there.
Yeah.
Really nice piece. This client, I've gotten to do a few pieces like this on him, but this is the most recent one. I'm really excited about it. So
I just love that green.
Right.
Yeah,
Such a
that
good
color's
bold
awesome.
green.
Vibrant.
And that green sticks around too. I did a if you look back on my story a bit, I did a peep on the radioactive peep on somebody, and I've seen that recently, and it still looks just as green as it did the day I did it, which is awesome. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
I saw the 2D piece from Gorillas, and that was an amazing piece.
I've gotten to do a few 2D tattoos. I love doing the Gorillas pieces. Jamie Hewlett is one of the artists that draws the Gorillas, is one of my main inspirations for illustrating in general. I love all of his work. I have a Tank Girl tattoo, actually, the Tank Girl tattoo right here. And Tank Girl is Jamie Hewlett's early work, and before he did the Gorillas. So
yeah, that's
big
sick.
fan, big fan. So.
Hey, that's awesome.
So yeah, I mostly focus on nerd work and mostly color work if you look through my page, but I think the next one's a black and gray one. If you want to bring that. Yeah, so this piece, actually this post specifically is a bunch of pieces I've done, but this piece here is some of my black and gray work that I'm pretty proud of. I want to do more horror, so I wanted to represent the horror here, but I love doing horror work, so.
It's great. The details are so fun.
Yeah.
That is one thing I know about you is you're very detailed, because even the tattoos I've gotten from you, I feel like they're probably my most detailed tattoos.
Yeah, and it's tricky when you're getting into detail. Oh yeah, the few pieces that I have on.
I love your fan.
The fan? Yeah, that was him.
You're a fan of the fan. Hey.
I love it. It's so good.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it is good. Tattoos, it's funny when you're playing with detail, you got to be careful for contrast and stuff like that. And sometimes I'm like, yo, man, it's about something that's going to look awesome that you're going to love. And some tiny details might not stay 20 years from now, but, it's one of those things about tattooing. So These ones will hold up, though. They're big and bold, so they're fun. I like these ones a lot.
Love bold lines.
Bold will hold.
Yeah. And then more nerd pride. Actually, this could be something in your feed too. Legends of Vox Machina season 2 is out right now on Netflix, Amazon Prime.
Okay.
And so this is from season 1 though. This is interlocking anime, I guess, kind of. It's American animation, but still. And D&D, which is 2 things I absolutely love, Amazon Prime. So this is from the first season. That was Grog, and I just love the color on this piece, just because it's different.
I really like awesome. The purples in the cloud.
The red highlights on the arm.
Yeah. And that's the other thing, too, is the thing I liked about this one I wanted to show here, because this is a design podcast, is playing with lettering.
Yes, I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah. So lettering is something that some tattoo artists try not to mess with around too much, because it's really easy to mess up. We all know about no regrets, right? So it's one of those things that people try to stay away from sometimes. But the thing I focused on when I was in school was typography and illustration.
Right. Yeah.
So I really love type and working with type and stuff like that. So I wanted to bring some interesting typography into this tattoo. So.
Yeah. Speaking of type, I heard that you are a defender of Comic Sans.
I absolutely am. Actually, so I listened to you guys' whole podcast up before coming on here, and I heard that, and I was like, I wonder if she's talking about me.
She absolutely was.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I absolutely am. As a comic book fan and as a typography fan, I am absolutely a staunch defender of Comic Sans.
Me too.
Papyrus can go.
Oh yeah.
Papyrus can kick rocks.
Yeah, but Comic Sans, it served a purpose. It's sad that to me, I'll give my defense real quick.
Yeah, for sure.
If you guys don't mind, but my defense is that the purpose it was made for, it still serves that purpose. The problem is that way too many corporate companies used it to send out letters that shouldn't have been sent out in Comic Sans. That's why Comic Sans gets a bad rap.
It's like an overused song on the radio.
Absolutely.
There's a reason why it got popular, but after hearing it for 5 years in a row, you're gonna get a little sick of it.
I think it's hilarious. I think if it's used like comedically or as it was purposed, like in comic books, then it's effective. But like when you use it like on the back of a garbage truck or as a part of a logo, maybe not. Yeah. Let's stay away from that.
Graphic design is my passion.
Yeah. It's my favorite meme.
I saw a Comic Sans Papyrus crossover on Typeface, and I was just like, oh my god, why?
That's delicious level of cringe.
Yeah,
it's so good.
That's so good. Bad and great at the same time.
Someone spent so much time on that as well. Like it wasn't like they're just like,
it's a labor of love.
They're just like, it's perfect.
Is this smooth enough for Comic Sans, but like
textured
jagged enough for Papyrus?
I will defend the use of Comic Sans when appropriate. to the grave. The problem is and I try to find the appropriate moments.
Time and place.
to use
Time
it.
and place.
I've used it on stickers for the tattoo shop. I've used them in a lot of times. I love it. I absolutely love it. So.
Well,
a certain
good
flair.
for you.
Well, good for you.
Good for you. Not everyone's a fan, but like, good for you for having a good explanation behind it and not just saying you like it.
Well, not everyone has taste. I'm just saying.
That's true. That's true.
So with marketing, then it is important to know your audience, like you were saying with Comic Sans. So with you doing tattoos now, how do you market yourself?
I mean, so I predominantly market myself through word of mouth and social media. So I definitely use Instagram. There's no question about it. It is the number one portfolio site, honestly, for most visual
How
artists.
I found all my artists.
Yeah.
But I would almost argue that it is just that. Like, I don't, my clients, from when I ask them, I'm like, how did you find out from me? They'll most of the time say Instagram, but then after talking to them I realized, no, they found out about me from a friend, then saw my work on Instagram.
On Instagram, yeah.
And I would say I don't have a large following. I like, as far as most tattoo artists, especially the kind of tattoos I do, typically get large followings. And it's not something that I have necessarily, but I have a strong client base. So I would say that it's more of for me it's more based on word of mouth, and then they use my Instagram portfolio as a portfolio, which is what I use it for, honestly. I did see that you the whole idea of like, what would I do? Like, did I think this was going to be a thing? Right? As I saw that in the show notes brief. So I'll just make that transition to you.
Okay.
No, because 20 years ago there was no social media.
Oh yeah.
So
how would you do it originally back in 20teen?
It was just that word
of
of
mouth.
Wow.
You start with like a walk-in flash or whatever, and then they're like, guys, this guy was really good. Go see them, kind of stuff. Is that?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I said 2013, but it's actually 2003. I guess would be 20 years. So I did the math wrong.
Okay, yeah.
But so back then, like, yes, because Facebook wasn't even open to the public until 2009. So like,
there was MySpace.
Yeah, but yeah.
First tattoo on MySpace.
Yeah. So back then, I mean, it was literally just word of mouth, and then people would come in and see your printed book. And look at your printed book and stuff like that. But honestly, that wasn't even something I was thinking. I was too young to even think about that back then. So it wasn't even like social media wasn't a question, because there was no such thing as social media, and I didn't even think about marketing because I was young and dumb and didn't think about that, right? So I didn't even think about graphic design or anything like that. In fact, until I went to school, and they're like, I was like, I want an illustration thing, and they didn't have an illustration program, but they're like, well, why? And I'm like, I want to be a tattoo artist, and they're like, well, graphic design, kind of like tattooing,
kind of.
So
same but different.
Yeah, exactly.
The graphic design to tattoo pipeline, if you will.
I mean, honestly, it's crazy, but the more and more I get into the industry nowadays, the more and more I realize how many tattoo artists, modern tattoo artists, actually started in a graphic background. It happens often.
There's 3 or 4 people I went to design school with all pursued tattooing after they left school, whether with a degree or not.
Honestly, it's not a bad idea to have that. The biggest thing I think is learning process beforehand. That's the biggest thing.
I think design lends itself to, I don't know anything about tattooing, but what I know about illustration, I think design lends itself, especially just like the critical and visual problem solving. Like I think it's kind of universal. Yeah,
absolutely. 100%. And honestly, the marketing and talking about back to your original question about marketing, like you need to know how to market yourself as a tattoo artist, especially in modern day like tattooing. Like, it is becoming more of a thing where you need to know how to market yourself, and the only thing that's going to happen with that is having that background or learning it. So the business side of graphic design is very similar in how to communicate, and we have to read people's minds and things like that.
I love being a mind reader. It's so fun.
People often ask me, how did you come up with this design based off of what I said? And you're like, I don't know, just time. You know what I mean? You have to read people's mind. The other aspect of it is there's so many things that are very similar, whereas in like graphic, some of them are the opposite but the same idea. Like, where in graphic design they're always trying to make things bigger, and tattooing they're always trying to make things smaller. Like, but it's the same conversation, just the other direction. Like, honestly, so it's one of those things that, you know, it's just the same kind of questions that you have to ask to get a logo designed. You have to ask to get a tattaoo. The only difference is one of them is permanently on somebody. Yeah. And it can't
Very
be changed.
true.
Slightly higher stakes.
Yeah.
Yeah, slightly.
A little bit, yeah. So with that, then last year, then we saw this change of Instagram going more towards Reels. Have you seen much of a shift in your following and like your engagement with having to post more Reels than stills, or have you not? How has that gone?
So, I'm gonna be forthright. The social media aspect of marketing myself, I'm terrible at it. Like,
I think you're pretty good at it. From being a viewer of it, I'm like, oh, he's got it together. The photos are good. He has good lighting.
well,
like,
okay, so I got better at my
video.
photos for sure. That honestly, that's just equipment, honestly. But I appreciate the compliment for sure. But I Reels take it out of me. Like, honestly, like I need to, at some point I need to just hire somebody and be like, here's my media, you take care of it.
Yeah.
'Cause there's multiple tattoos right now that I want to post that I haven't posted because I want to make a reel out of it, but then the reel's going to take me forever. So I just
Yeah.
It does,
it's
yeah.
just sitting on my phone waiting to be shown to the to the world, and it's sad they haven't been yet, but they will. They will. They'll get there
What's,
someday.
One day.
What's so crazy is I've seen a couple TikToks blow up of where all you hear is just like the original audio of someone filming, and it's a tattoo artist saying, yeah, I hear this blows up if you just show the stencil, then you show like a 5-second clip of you working on it, and then you show the finished product. Because a lot of people, what they were saying is a lot of people just want to see the idea of the tattoo and what it ends up turning out to be.
Yes.
And so a lot of times, like a lot of the reels and TikToks that are blowing up around tattoo content are just if you show at least the stencil and the final product. And whatever you do in between that is whatever, but that's like the key stuff that people want to see.
And that's what I try to do with my reels. If you look, you'll always see me kind of either show the flash initial idea
Yeah.
or something, or if it's a cover up, I try to show the what it was
Oh yeah,
Before.
cover-ups are so cool.
Cover ups are the ones that I absolutely always want to make a reel
Yeah.
because I want them to you to see the whole process.
The
So
visual.
impressive too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and whereas like a photo just doesn't do a cover up justice.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's specifically the one I'm trying to get to post at some point is that, and
Yeah.
I know it's going to take me a while to put it together. And I get like it seems like it's that easy, but like for me to get in that mental space.
Absolutely.
I've heard a lot of creators like have burnout with Instagram switching to the more video heavy format.
Yeah.
Ultimately.
Because designers aren't videographers. They don't want to learn how to do cuts in Premiere Pro or like take you through the process.
They just want to show their work.
Yeah, they just want to show you their work.
Yeah,
Or
that's where I'm at.
not all designers want to make a tutorial video on like how to do the process. I'm not
True.
saying like there's nothing wrong with
No.
if you do, or like I'm not saying you're gatekeeping by not. It's just something I don't personally want to make a tutorial on every design I
Right.
do.
Right.
It's a lot of extra
Yes.
work.
Well, Katie,
So much time.
you had mentioned before the podcast, you asked me about how much time design goes
Yeah.
into anything, and my answer to you shows you why I don't have time to
Right.
make the reel.
No, absolutely.
So what I said before the podcast was recorded is that I tattoo somewhere around 20 to 30 hours a week, if not more.
Yeah, that's
and
crazy.
Then I'm drawing 30 to 40 hours
Right.
Yeah.
a week. So like I don't, by the time all that's said and done, I don't feel like making a reel that's going to take me 2-3
Yeah.
hours.
that absolutely
And
makes
that's
sense.
more where I'm hung up. But whereas if I just took a nice photo, which I always try to take a nice photo when I'm done with the tattoo, posting it up, that wasn't a problem. You know what I
Right.
mean? So like this whole new reel thing, I see artists doing it and I'm like, man, I don't know how they have the time. And I get it. It's not that hard, but for me it is. Like, I guess wrapping around. Maybe I
Absolutely.
sound like an old man.
I
right
saw
now.
some-
No, you definitely
This
don't.
technology.
I saw
lot of-
some rumors on Twitter this past week that Instagram's going back to emphasizing photos. So
Really? They
Fingers crossed.
Good.
don't quote me on that. Don't quote me on that. It's
But
not official.
They're
but
teasing that.
yeah.
They're like, maybe we'll go back to photos.
Yeah.
I
Everyone
hope.
can stay on.
I'm gonna.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I'm not gonna hold my breath because I feel like I'll probably
Yeah,
pass out.
you
But
shouldn't.
still.
Yeah, definitely would.
Yeah, I just have seen a lot of like the artists I have gone to too. They say the same thing where it's like they're so talented and so passionate about their work, and they're just like, man, I just hate Instagram. I have to do it, but I just like posting all that content is just so much.
It is, especially all the time. And what I've seen with it is people are on it more for entertainment. So it's just like they
Yeah.
want something quick and fast and just scroll to the next thing. It's not like they're going on there and being like, hey, I want to look at these tattoos.
Right.
And then just only focus on that. People, the
It
way that
just-
the algorithm works, it really just throws you all over the place.
Yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, like I've heard like Like that's really honestly the big thing is like why like I feel like I'm gonna spend 3 hours on this 30 or 2 hours. I guess not 3 hours, but 2 hours on this 30-second or 15-second clip, and somebody's gonna watch 5 seconds of it. And then
or
like,
just watch a second.
Yeah, and it's just another thing for you to scroll by.
Yeah, and that to me is like, well, I'd rather do I want to do that, or do I want to spend the extra 2 hours on somebody else's tattoo?
Yeah, absolutely.
Go ahead.
Okay. So with like reels and video formats being a thing, and getting tattoos feels like it's grown in popularity the past 10 years or so, more than, I mean, to me, like but it's probably catered to me, right? I get a lot of tattoo content on my feed.
That's all.
But
have
it's
you
like more
seen like
socially acceptable
have you seen
now.
like trends go on in the tattoo industry with like the type of subject matter you get asked for clients?
I think I would say the biggest. I mean, I've only been tattooing, as I said, since 2017, so it's hard for me to say really overall. But I would say is from what I've heard from other artists and what I've just seen in the general in my portfolio. I've definitely been asked to do more of this kind of content that I like to do.
And that's pop culture stuff.
Yeah, pop culture stuff and nerdy stuff and stuff like
that's
that.
Sick.
I've been fortunate enough to have certain clients be very vocal on social media about my work. Specifically, I've been able to. One of my clients has been very vocal on Reddit. So when somebody posts on Reddit about wanting something nerdy in Salt Lake City, that client is one of the first people.
I got you.
You need to go talk to Rat.
Rat tattoo.
Yeah, the Rat tattoo. The underscore
rat
underscore tattoo. Whoever has Rat tattoo doesn't use it, and I wish they would give it to me, but they don't. So I've got the underscore rat underscore tattoo.
Had that come up on our podcast before.
Yeah.
What about URL? Have you snagged? Is that one that you could snag?
I didn't snag it, but honestly, like
it's probably gone.
Nobody ever uses our website. We have a great website.
Yeah,
our website
your website's really good.
Our website for our shop is amazing. Darlene, shout out to you. You're a badass.
Shouts out.
Yeah. But she's awesome, and so our Instagram. Our website is awesome, but most people look at our Instagrams. So like you can go to the website and look at our work. That's cool. But like, yeah, I haven't grabbed the URL. I actually, after graphic design school, I let my URL die because I just never used it and was paying a couple $100 a year or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was just like, not worth it anymore.
A bit.
Yeah. So no, I've never grabbed it. I'm sure somebody else has it because even though Rat is a unique enough name, it's not that unique in the tattoo world. So like somebody's definitely got it out there. So
my last tattoo was by a guy named Rad, R-A-D, and I was like, this is kind of like Rat. So.
There is a guy, I think here in Salt Lake, there's another artist named Rat, actually. I think so.
Interesting.
So,
okay. Well, the real Rat tattoo.
Well, that's why that's partly the reason why I went by the Rat tattoo.
Yeah.
Because I was just like, hey, nobody else is taking this claim. I'm gonna stake it.
Yeah.
No, I'm not that cocky though. No.
All good. Perfect. Well, where can people find you?
As I said, the underscore rat underscore tattoo on Instagram. I have Twitter, but I never use it. I think that's just. I actually don't even.
Probably
know
a smart choice. It's not a great website.
It's a dying hill.
And then prohibition.com, prohibitioninc.com. Sorry, prohibitioninc.com is our shop's website. I'm actually in April be shifting though. I'm moving back to the East Coast. I'm going to Charlotte, North Carolina.
Word.
I'll be working for a shop called Mimic. And our thank you so much.
Good luck.
Thanks. And it's MIMIK. Not MIC, so it's Mimic. Yep. And they're associated with a shop called Volt Tattoo, which is like, so that's all kind of like a big family out there in Charlotte.
Awesome.
And I'm excited to join that, but that'll be in April. But definitely check out Prohibition if you're here locally, and if you're on the East Coast, come check me out at Mimic in April May time. So.
That's all right, Utah people. You got to contact Mimic.
Yeah. So unfortunately, if you're in Utah. It's too late. I'm moving. My books are full. So, but I'll be back. I'll be guest spotting at Prohibition. Plus, the artists at Prohibition are amazing. I love all of them. They're family. So,
definitely, it's a really cool shop.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Thanks for coming on the show, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This was a lot of fun. I'm glad I got on here before I moved away. So.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Same. I'm glad we got time with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks.
Perfect. Well, if you have any questions or want to make your own podcast, contact us or visit our website, tripconnect.com. And until next time,
bye.